a proper axis. Karen. I need a dependent variable, which would be cost. Nicely done. They are now both named. Remember, they need three things. We have one of the things. What's the second thing they need? Jacob, hit me. A unit. What would be the unit of time for this graph? Days. Ooh, doggy. Nice work. What would be the unit for cost? Dollars. Ho-ho, he's on fire. And what's the third thing an axis needs? The numbers. What does our data cover for us in days? 7. So the maximum value I can have for my domain is what? 7, because I only have data up to 7 days, correct? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I only need to put a 1 there, don't I? Because that shows that every tick is worth 1. Yeah? Great. Now, what about cost? Cost is kind of all over the place, isn't it? So I should just put a scale there, right? Everybody cool with that? I'm going to go up by $50. 50. 100. And then I don't need any more because I know every one of these, but I'm going to put the hundreds in. Everybody happy? Have we got our graph set up? All the axes are good? Okay, let's start putting some data on here. What are the two things I'm checking? I've got two variables. What are they? The two things that are changeable. Cost and day. So, when I walk in and I say, I want to rent a car. The guy says, I got a car. You say, okay. He says, give me some money. How much do I have to pay him? $65. What if I only take the car for 5 hours? $65. What if I take the car for 23 hours and 59 minutes? $65. What if I take the car for 10 minutes? What if I take the car for 9 hours? So, what is the only output available for 1 day? 65. So I go to 65, and it's always going to be 65, isn't it? So what does the line have to look like? Straight across. Because it's always going to be 65. Agreed? Now, what if I don't actually rent the car? I walk in and I say, hey, I want to rent a car. A guy says, yeah, I'll rent you a car, $65. And I say, screw you, too expensive, and I walk out. Nothing. So what do I need here? At time 0, if I don't rent the car, what do I need there? What kind of dot? An open dot. Because if I don't rent the car, I can't pay any money. Right? Excellently done. What if I like the car so much, I keep it for a second day? Up to what? 130. So I go up to 130. I keep it for a second day. Yeah? Everyone agree? What if I only keep it for part of the second day? Still got to pay for $130, right? Sweet. What happens on the third day? 65 again to what? 195. Now I'm up at 195. Almost $200. Yeah? What happens on the third day? Fourth day, I mean. Sorry. Only goes up by $30. So I went from 195 to 225. Shorter gap. And then 255. And then 285. I'm running out of colors. And what's my last one? 315. Everyone agree? Are we happy with that drawing? If I give you any number between 1 and 7, including all the decimals, can you tell me how much I will pay to rent this car? How much will I pay if I rent this car for 3.5 days? It's a little hard to see, so let's do this. 65, 130, 195, 225, 255. No, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, 255, 285, and 315. Because it's a little hard to see, right? Because we didn't do a real graph. I'm renting the car for 3.5 days. How much am I paying? 225. I'm renting the car for 2.1 days. How much am I paying? Pardon? 195, 2.1, because I'm past 2. I'm renting the car for 6 days. 285. I'm renting the car for 6.5 days. 315. Everybody cool? Okay. So, first question. Is it a function right now? Derek says no. Why not, Derek? I thought you said no. It wasn't you? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Why? Because now I've given it away. Why isn't it a function? What about this graph, the way it's drawn right now, makes it not a function? Karen. These lines overlap, don't they? At one day, I got 65 and 130. But that's not possible, right? If it's the business, they're going to be like, oh yeah, it's 130. And I'm going to be like, no, I only kept it for one day. So what has to happen to make it a function? Jacob. I got to have some open dots. Where do those open dots live? On the left or the right of each line? On the left. Because I don't pay for that second day or that next day until when? Till that day starts, right? Everybody with me? So now, is it a function? Excellent. So now we've got a function. Now the next question is, should I join the points on the graph? Well, that's a bit of a tough question, isn't it? Because I got all these points on the graph, all the open circles, because they're points on the graph, aren't they? And I got all these points on the graph, which are closed circles. So, talk amongst yourselves and tell me where, if anywhere, should I be joining points on this graph? Go. Because the way I see it, I got 3 options, don't I? What are my 3 options? I'll help you out a little bit more. I could connect the closed dots, I could connect the open dots, or I could connect vertically right here, right? Those are the only place I could connect. Yeah? Everyone agree? Okay. Should I connect them? Yes or no? And then, why? Do your answer over here, because it might not be right. Talk amongst yourselves. Oakley dokley. Would anybody like to volunteer their yes or no? Oh, yes. Which ones do you think should be connected, Jovan? You think closed to open. So you think I should have these vertical ones connected. Okay? That is one option. Does anybody... Oh, wait, sorry. That's your yes or no. Why?
Because they're not 100% vertical, which means they can still be a function.
Okay. Excellent. Gagan. No problem. Eating in the class that has no food allowed, but that's okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, so Gagin says nothing should be connected because your output values are going up by chunks, right? Okay. Jacob?
I think if it is yes, I think it should be just like the clotheslines connected because time isn't really can't really just like stop to go up.
Okay, so we got a second vote for yes, who says we should go this way because time can't stop for vertical. Myers has said that like 20 times. We can't do anything to time. We're stuck with time, right? Okay. Anybody else like to voice an opinion before we talk about the what's really going on here? Okay. Would anybody like to throw in their vote with Gagin, Jacob, or Jovan? Where would you like to go, Karen? You're with Gagin? Anybody else? Marcos? He's your buddy. He's right there. You throwing him under the bus? Moving over to Gagin's side of the room? Wow. Ballsy, man. He's going to be sitting with you like all year probably. Has anybody changed their mind?
Yeah, I'm pretty convinced.
Yeah, she's right? We can't connect it. Because as soon as we connect it, that gives us different outputs, doesn't it? Right? If I draw this line, that means I have an output between 65 and 130. Will I ever pay any amount between 65 and 130? No, so I can't connect the line. Is everybody cool? So the answer is no. Why or why not? Because our outputs are only allowed to be these seven. The seven values. I cannot pay anything else. Now, think back to our domain and range section. If we were going to do the domain of this, I would have 7 dots up here, wouldn't I? And nothing in between them. Right? So is it a function? Yes. Why? Because each day, which is day an input or an output? Input, each day, input, gives a unique cost. And what's the cost? Output. Everybody with me? Yeah. Excellent. Now we get into a little bit of trouble. What is the domain and range? I can't remember what colors I use for domain and range, so I'm doing red for domain. What's the lowest domain I could have? Open, yeah, 0, but I can't actually hit 0, can I? Or can I? Can I walk into the place and say, I want to rent a car and walk out if I don't like the price? It is a little confusing. That's why I ask you guys to talk all the time. You sit there like this. And then I tell you and you're like, it's confusing. Will I have an output if I enter an input of 0? No. So, do I equal 0 or do I approach 0? I approach 0. So, it won't erase. I'm going to erase the whole thing. And what goes here? Should it be X? Should be time or days, right? I'd accept either. And what do I go up to? 7. Do I hit 7? Can I rent the car for 7 days? So it's an equals. How would I write that the other way? round bracket, 0, 7, square bracket. What would my range be? This one's slightly trickier. 65. Then what? No, can't do less than or equal to. Because remember, I don't have any other values. So I have to list them. 65, 130, 195, 225, 255, 285, 315. Does everybody understand to there? Everybody understands why this looks like this? We did a whole 2 pages on domain and range. Everybody cool? All right. So we got 2 new words here. Discrete and continuous data. Without actually hearing the definitions, what do you think I have here? Do I have discrete or continuous data? Karen, you feel I have discrete. Why do you feel it's discrete? It's split up. Absolutely correct. Because there are values in our range that we cannot get. Does everybody understand? So this is discrete data. Everybody okay with this? Now, it's not quite that simple though, is it? Because do I not have a value for every single input? From 0 to 7 in my domain, do I get a value for every single input? So is it discrete? Yeah, but I always have an output, don't I? Right? So it looks discrete because it's broken up, right? Everyone agree? But if I change that question around and ask you, if I give you any number between 0 and 7, can you tell me how much it's going to cost me to rent the car? If I start at 0.0000001, 0.02, 0.03, can you always tell me the value? So is it discrete? Because if you go by what the words mean, you're going to say it's discrete, right? Jacob?
Or would it not be because, like, there's multiple outputs for, or, I don't know how to say it, but, like, if, like, you say, like, 0.1 days or 1, it's the same cost. So maybe it wouldn't.
But there's always an output, isn't there?
Yeah, but some have the same.
Yeah. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I do understand what you mean. So, when there are values which cannot exist was Karen's idea for discrete data, yes? But the way I just turned it around kind of messes with that, right? So, can we change this to be to cover what I just said? Jacob was talking about inputs and outputs. Do they help us? Do they help us refine this definition? How? Because Karen said this is discrete because it's broken up, and I said, but if I give you any number, you give me an output, right? Which sounds continuous, doesn't it? Now, again, we haven't described what these things are, so I'll ask again. Can we refine this to work? Using the words input and output. Pardon me? I do have a way. I'm trying to get you people there. What about my sentence messed up Karen's perfectly logical answer? Because Karen's makes sense, doesn't it? It's discrete. It's broken up. It's not a continuous line. So it must be discrete. Because you know what continuous means, right, Karen? All you know what continuous means, right? Myers continuously talks and never shuts up. You know what it means, right? So, Karen's definition seems to make perfect sense until I changed around and asked you, how much does it cost me to rent the car for any number? And you have an answer for me. Why? What about my question changes your perfectly agreeable definition that Karen gave us? Karen! For every input, I have an output. Does everybody understand? And every input across the range exists. Does everybody understand? So discrete data is when there are values which cannot exist. Where? Which is more important, the domain or the range? The domain. When there are values which cannot exist in the domain. What if it's continuous? Then what? If it's discrete when there's values that can't exist in the domain, then it's continuous when? When all values of the domain are available and give an output. All right. Everybody cool? That answers my rebuttal to Karen's, right? Because if we stop right there, I take that out, Karen's right. Until we ask that other question. Everybody okay? All right, turn the page and we'll do some examples and talk about why. I got data comparison. We're going to identify the dependent, the independent variable, and explain if it's continuous or discrete. So the first thing we need to do is we need to decide on the IV and the DV. Remember, variables are anything we can count that changes. So what are the two things I am counting here? Speed of sound can have a value, and air temperature can have a value. Everyone agree? Okay. One of those must be independent, one of those must be dependent. Which is which? Talk to your neighbor. Are you wanting to leave or do you have an answer? Okay, one sec. I actually hear some people muttering about this thing and not something else, so I want to let them mutter. Time. Karen, hit me. What's your guess? Speed is the IV and temperature is the DV. Okay? And then obviously the only other choice is the other way around, right? So temp is the IV and speed would be the DV. So these are our two choices, yes? Hands up if you're in the blue camp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Hands up if you're in the red camp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, 7 plus 9 equals 30. It's just like a real election in Canada. Half the people don't bother to vote. Okay, I'm going to ask you people to do the impossible right now. It is physically impossible for what I'm about to ask to happen. But we're going to try, okay? All you have to do for the next 10 seconds is not make a sound. Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Shake out now, right? Get ready. Ready? When I say go, you're not going to make a sound. Go! Like I said, it's physically impossible. Was there an air temperature? Yes. Was there sound? No. Well, there wasn't sound for the first 4 seconds. Then Marcus dropped his pen, and then Marcos went, and then everybody else started laughing. So, it is the red one. Okay? Everybody understand why? There's a temperature regardless of whether or not sound is happening. No.
I was asking what the speed of sound.
If there's no sound, there's no speed of that sound. No, there isn't. We just proved it. We were making no sounds. My voice right now is traveling towards you through air that has a temperature, right? Okay. Okay. So, we've talked about that. Now, the question becomes, is it discrete or continuous data? The definition says if there's an output for every possible input, then it's continuous. Now, as you guys just said, there is always sound, isn't there? Right? Right now, there is sound coming out of my mouth, and it is going to continue to come out of my mouth for the foreseeable future, yes? And there's an air temperature, yes? Is there always an air temperature? Is there at any point in the temperature will my sound stop? Not if... Wrong. Will that ever stop until I run out of breath? What temperature would make me not be able to speak? I would be dead. What happens at negative 273 Celsius? Well, we freeze to death long before then. At negative 273 Celsius, all matter stops moving. It's absolute zero. Atoms stop moving, which means sound can't pass, yes? Yeah, that's why there's no sound in space. That's why all those space movies bother me. That's why that wicked awesome, that was the tagline for Alien. In space, no one can hear you scream. Because the aliens were ripping. Anyways. For the domain, negative 273 Celsius, up to a maximum, is sound able to travel? Yes. So is it continuous or discrete? It is continuous. There is no input value of temperature where sound cannot move, if there is something to make that sound. Now, you are arguing, but what about lower than negative 273? But there is no temperature lower than negative 273. You can't have temperature without movement of particles. That's what makes the temperature.
So do you not feel the temperature?
So the lowest domain value is what? Negative 273. Can sound pass through that? Yeah, because as long as you don't go lower than that, sound can pass. So there's an output at that input. So since there's an output for every input, it's continuous. We don't know because we've yet to go below 273. The point is, for every input value of a temperature, sound can pass. Okay? Let's try the next one. This might make it easier. What are my two variables? Age is one variable, and the dose is one variable. Which is the IV, which is the DV? Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, we'll write both.
It's not like she takes like 50 and she turns 50 years old,
All right. Oh, wait, I should have made those ones red. Okay, how many people are in the blue camp? Lots. Anybody in the red camp? Right. It is the blue camp. Why? Do I have an age? Am I a woman? You don't know. That's true. You're absolutely correct. Okay. That's not the real reason, though. The real reason is this. The recommended daily dose of vitamin C is related to a female's age in years. So we're cool here. Discrete or continuous? What do you think, Gagan? It is discrete. Why? This will confuse the issue. Age in years. There's no in-betweens. When I'm 13, I take a certain amount of vitamins, yes? Everybody with me? When I'm 13 and a half, do I take any more vitamins? No. When do I take a different dose of vitamins? At 14. Or 55 to 60, whatever, right? It's not a continuous line. Cool? Let's try the third one. What is it? What are the two variables? Cost and number of cans. Okay, so what's the IV, what's the DV? You're just saying both words. You're going with cans for IV and cost is DV. Why? Cost depends on how many cans I buy, right? Easy. Discrete or continuous? Discrete. Why? I can't buy half a can. There is no input for any fraction, is there? Can I go to Safeway and say, I am exactly 1/3 of a can of juice thirsty? Thank you, sir. Glug, glug, glug. Here you are. How much was it? $1.40 or $1.20. Here is 40 cents because I only drank 1/3 of that can. You can now sell the other 2/3 to my good friend here. Does that happen? No. It does not. Your input values are not continuous because you cannot have half a can. Everybody cool?
Exactly.
But you still had to buy one can.
No, you can chop it in half.
Yes, chop the can. Okay, ninjas. Yes. I'm going to take it home. I'm going to freeze it so it'll be solid. Then I'm going to cut it in half. Then I'm going to let it melt. Then I'm going to drink it. Huh. And lastly, altitude is related to temperature. What is the two variables? Altitude and temp. And what is the IV and what is the DV? IV is altitude. And DV is? Why do you know that? Because it's damn cold on Mount Baker. Why? Because it's high up in the air. No, it's not got anything.
You know what I think? The higher you go, the hotter it gets. Because you're closer to the sun.
That's what I meant. You don't get hotter as you get closer to sunset.
Yes. Is it discrete or continuous? Continuous. Why?
Because as you keep going up, the lower the temperature gets.
Absolutely right. At every single possible altitude, there's a temperature. If I move up 1 picometer, is there still a temperature there?
Yes.
Yes. Is everybody good with discrete and continuous? It took a little bit, but we're all good, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, remember, the book's printed badly. Your work for today is actually back a couple of pages. It is 160, page 160. 160 and 161 are the questions. 162 is the answers. Answers. Okay? Because, English is so easy to learn. Why not throw a silent W in the middle of a word? What the heck? Except it's not the only silent W in the middle of a word. We do it more than once. Sword.
Oh, fat.
I said sword the first time I read it. Even though I knew what a sword was. I mean, I was like 5 learning to read. I know what a sword is. And then I read it for the first time. What's a sword? And I go to my mom. Mom, what's a sword? It's a sword. Mom, why is there a W? There just is. Yes, Haram. Go. Answer. Are there any other silent W's? I can't think of any other silent W's. No, I can only think of those two. Boy, English is so easy to learn. Why doesn't everybody learn it? Oh. It's not Thursday, but it's Dad Joke Thursday time.
Oh no.
I went into the store to buy a new Arnold Schwarzenegger doll for my kid. I didn't know where it was in the store, so I asked the customer service rep. He said, "I'll be back."
Oh.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
Was it a person who does not speak English?
No, it was a joke because Arnold Schwarzenegger says, "I'll be back." I liked it. I thought it was funny. Okay, I got another one, even though it's not Thursday. I can never remember if the sun rises in the east or the west. But then in the morning, it dawns on me.
What? That was
Thanks, guys. So I'm 1 for 2. I'll be back was no good. Thanks, guys.
First one.
Okay.
Way better than that.
The first one I was 10 seconds, but I was like,
I'll be back. My Arnold Schwarzenegger is not very good.
Oh,
All right. Oh, crap. I forgot to say something. Which one gets the connected line? Continuous or discrete? Obviously. Which is it? Continuous. You're supposed to get gummies today, but there was much trouble in the Myers household last night. I did not get out to the store. My mother is visiting, and my mother had set up a dinner thing with my wife, but nobody had told me.
Wait, is this the same mother that lived there?
No. That's my mother-in-law. So then